Insellmilkom, sinjuri, nirringrazzjakom li qed issegwu dan il-programm. Din il-parti tax-xandira tissir mir-Rabat. Ġejna nżuru lil Robert Kassar li għadu kif rebaħ the Best Restaurant of the Year Award. Lisa, tell me a bit about your background.
I'm English Maltese. As I was saying, my father was Maltese and my mother's English, and I've been brought up both in England and in Malta, and I've been living in Malta for a number of years now. So it was 23 years ago that I was living in Malta and was dining out quite regularly. And at that point, that's when together with my business partner, decided to come up with a plan for Malta for a restaurant guide. So I had been working in publishing and marketing and PR in the UK, and so came here and did some research as to what the best restaurant guide would be for Malta, and decided that a survey-based restaurant guide would probably be the preferable option, as opposed to a critique-based guide. So it would be the people's choice.
It makes a lot of sense. So you're saying it's 23 years ago, you started in 2020. How was it in the first year in comparison to this year? You've just had your awards ceremony.
Yeah. So, I mean, I wasn't really aware of that we had so many restaurants on the island, all over the place. And so it was quite an eye-opener, actually, to discover some hidden gems, in effect. So we distributed the survey. At the time, we distributed it as an insertion in the Sunday newspapers, because obviously digitally we weren't quite there. And from that survey, we discovered some amazing restaurants, which we had no idea about. And at the time, there was Mange Tout, in fact. I've never heard of it. Went down to Shemshire, discovered this little gem there, and Victor Borge as the chef. And it won the best overall rated restaurant in Malta at the time. And so that was amazing to discover, yes, there are actually some really incredible restaurants out there. There are some incredible chefs, and they're doing amazing things. So it's not just the usual suspects. And so the idea was that we would guide people, lovers of food, to restaurants all over the island.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me because, I mean, there are some chefs who are very big personalities, but you find others who are very low-key, but very talented. Yeah. So you're actually looking for this talent.
Yes, exactly. And through the survey, which is effectively the clients of the different restaurants, we're able to discover, because it's impossible for one person or a team of critiques really to get to know every single restaurant in Malta. I mean, there are something like 3,000 restaurants on the island. It's a huge number, both in Malta and Gozo. So at least this way, it's the clients who are actually deciding and giving us that information, that feedback, that data as to what's actually happening on the island. So we get a really good idea, a viewpoint of what the restaurant scene is in Malta at the time.
Robert, awguri l-ewwel net u għajdilna xi ħaġa dwar din l-award ta' din is-sena.
Nis nirringrazzjakom tal-li ġejtu. Xi ħaġa speċjali nifdel industrija sa 5 snin mir-restorant tiegħi Rotate One. Ovvjament, jiena nħobb biex nipparteċipa kull fejn jkun hemm available. U li terbaħ xi ħaġa hija dejjem xi ħaġa sabiħa, fimtni. Ir-reward tagħna li nqattaw ħafna ħinijiet twal ġo restoranzi tagħna mat-tim tiegħi kollu. Tuħu xi ħaġa ta' sodisfazzjon kbir, xi ta' sodisfazzjon kbir li tiġi premjat hija xi ħaġa sabiħa.
Kif għamilt dik id-deċiżjoni li kont qiegħed fl-industrija, forsi tista' tkellimna naqra dwar il-background tiegħek fl-industrija, ma kif għamilt dik il-qabża li tiftaħ waħdek hija sfida kbira?
Ngħidlek il-verità jiena proprjament bdejt naħdem ġo kantin, meta kelli 15-il sena. U mbagħad għamilt 5 snin u ta' 20 sena mort l-ITS. Għamilt il-full-time course hemmhekk, mort sena barra wkoll. Ġejta u Malta, gburi li ħdimt ma' ħafna xeffijiet tajbin, speċjalment ġo lukandi ta' 5 star. Ħadd deċiżjoni kont intqajt mal-mara llum il-ġurnata tal-mara tiegħi ġewwen u għattela lest li nagħmel xi ħaġa. Talaktejni lest li nagħmel xi ħaġa. Mill-ewwel ġurnata kienet ta' sapport għalija dak iż-żmien kienet l-arusa ovvjament għax nitkellmu 5 snin ilu. U minn day one, mill-ewwel ġurnata tiegħi ħassejt li rrid nagħmel xi ħaġa tajba. Nirringrazzja l-familja tiegħi, l-omm u l-missier u l-oħti li għenuna ħafna wkoll fil-bidu, għadhom jienu sal-lum. Kont bżajt għal-bidu għax il-bidu huwa jebes għal kulħadd, kien ħafna jebes għalija l-ewwel sena kienet vera jebes għalija ħafna. Imma qatt ma qtajt qalbi, kont persistenti ħafna,
Tell me something about this year's winner.
So this year we've got, it was a surprise, I think certainly for the the owner of the restaurant. So Route 81 is won the best overall Colin Best Restaurant Award in Malta. So what's wonderful is that it is a unique restaurant in its own way. I mean, effectively it's run by a chef himself and his team. It's not a vast restaurant, it's a very personal restaurant, and he's won lots of awards with us as well and others as well, and well known, got quite very well known on the island actually. So it was a lovely surprise, I think, for him to win the award, and it's great that he's in there. He won it, yeah. So congratulations, Robert.
But perhaps from what you're saying, it wasn't a surprise to you very much because he's also a Michelin chef.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, there's a lot of good chefs on the island, and they're doing amazing work, and they work so hard, incredible. So for us, with the Definitively Good Guide, it wasn't so much of a surprise because we know his work. We've been following him. So it was for us, it wasn't so much. But I think for the restaurant scene, it potentially would have been, and for the clients, obviously, who have voted for him, it's fantastic. It's great.
How would you describe his food?
So his food, well, he has a different menu. He changes the menu quite regularly. He uses seasonal products, local produce, and he will have various meat dishes on the menu, fish, seasonal, effectively. So lovely and beautifully presented in a wonderful setting, as you can see.
I wonder if you could give me your opinion on something. Unfortunately, we still see a lot of mediocre restaurants in Malta, and perhaps mediocre food, not bad food. What are your comments about that?
So, as I was saying earlier, there's over 3,000 restaurants on the island, so that's a huge number, and trying to be sustainable. So, obviously, there are going to be restaurants who are catering for a very different audience to something like a restaurant like Route 81, which is very niche. So yeah, the survey is there to pick out the top 150 rated restaurants which are most consistent on the restaurant scene. So you can pretty much guarantee that you're going to go to the restaurant on an evening and have a good meal, and that is consistent because obviously of all the different ratings. So yeah, there are going to be mediocre restaurants. With the guide, the idea is that you can choose a restaurant that's been rated, that's highly recommended, that's been highly rated. So at least you have more opportunity, chance of having a good meal, spending good money, because restaurants are not cheap at the moment, and knowing that you're going to have a good meal.
Aħna hawnhekk l-ikel insejru Mediterranju, Ovvjament, nipprovaw nagħtu twist moderna, jiena nħobb insejjar classic, u tipprova tagħti daqsxejn twist, fimtni?
Healthy imma l-ikel, healthy.
Ħanejlek, nista' ngħidlek li iwa. Ovvjament il-moderat jiġi healthy, mhux hekk. Eżaġerazzjoni mhix tajba, eżempju f'affarijiet ta' butir, żejt u hekk, imma ovvjament dawk huma ċertu ingredjenti li jintużaw fl-ikel, u ovvjament dawk jagħmlu l-affarijiet tajbin ukoll, fimtni, ġifieri.
Semmejt ukoll li l-ikel huwa ta' tema mediterranja. Kemm hija importanti għalik li żżomm il-kultura tal-ikel Malti?
Ija, ovvjament, l-ikel Malti huwa importanti, hawnhekk għandna wieħed mill-iżjed platti li nbiegħu huwa il-fenek li nagħtuh aħna twist ta' Route 81. U hija, ovvjament l-ikel Malti huwa jibqa' popolari mal-Maltin, mat-turisti wkoll. U mela l-lum l-ikel Malti huwa tajjeb, għandna produzzjoni tajba ta' speċjalment tal-majjal, tal-fniek, tal-ħaxix. Malta improvjat ħafna, fimtni, ġifieri llum Malta biex taħdem b'affarijiet lokali wkoll.
Xi tgħidli dwar il-customer service, kemm hu importanti għalik?
Aħna qegħdin hawnhekk u tirbaħ u tibqa' għaddej bin-nies. Hekk ma jiġux nies, la tista' tirbaħ, la tista' issajjar, ma tista' tagħmel xejn. Ġifieri n-nies huma kollox għar-restorant tagħna.
And the guide, if you could perhaps tell me a bit more about it, it doesn't only include fine dining, right?
No, that's absolutely right. So we're very clear about that. It's a people's choice, so it's the ratings are coming from the clients of the restaurants. And yes, there'll be the higher end restaurants, but there is also the more affordable restaurants on the island. So yes, we have a real mix of different price categories. And in fact, in the book, there are sections for the price categories and the ratings. So you can choose according to what you would like to spend at that point in time. So not all expensive restaurants. So it wouldn't necessarily be a Michelin star standard restaurant, but it could be a normal eatery where you're going to have a lovely meal, home-cooked meal.
Is there a guide available digitally?
Yes, absolutely. So we have it on restaurantsmalta.com. So the guide is also available online. And in fact, we launched our new website this time in conjunction with the guide. And we do events, what's happening in Malta, latest news, trends, new openings on the website. So it's updated every day, effectively.
Going forward, you've just had the ceremony for this year, and obviously I'm sure you're starting to work for next year. How does it work? Do you visit all these restaurants?
So what we do is we distribute a survey every September for the month of September. So that goes out digitally on our website, and people can rate the food, the service, and the ambience of all the restaurants that they've eaten in the last 12 months. And we encourage them to rate their favourite restaurants. We then have additional questions which we add to that survey: best business entertainment, where would you go for a romantic meal? Where would you go with your children? That sort of thing. So we have additional questions, at which point we collect all the data, send it to America where it's analysed, it comes back, and then we know which are the top 150 restaurants. But in the meantime, we're always keeping an eye on what's going on in the restaurant scene, and we're adding to our website, keeping that alive every day, and our social media during that time. But the survey itself is conducted once a year in September, and the book is published in December together with the awards ceremony when the restaurants get the awards, the plates, the commemorative plates, to top restaurants.
Mela, dan huwa il-platt tal-pork sewwa, fih ovvjament għandek il-pork rack tajjeb u għandek ukoll il-pork cheeks. Ovvjament għal da żmien irranġajna daqsxejn il-garnish tiegħu li jiġi servut bil-kejl, daqsxejn patata max u cherry ġu biċ-ċerasa tajjeb. U wieħed mill-iżjed platt favorit tiegħi personali. U ovvjament l-iżjed favorit huwa il-fenek li hawnhekk nagħmluh bħala rolat, tajjeb, nużaw fenek ta' Malta, nużaw il-panċetta wkoll ta' Malta li kif qed intaraw huwa rolat mdawwar ġol panċetta, nagħmluh bil-mastar siġu wkoll u għandu benjett li huwa konfi tal-fenek tajjeb u nagħmluha bħala benjett. Dan wieħed mill-iżjed dix favorit tiegħi illum il-ġurnata u l-iżjed dix popolari li għandna wkoll fimni.
Għajt li xi ħaġa fuq dix xi ħaġa tal-ħelu li ma l-iktar popolari.
Sinċerament, l-iżjed dix popolari tal-ħelu huwa l-imqaret, tajjeb, nagħmluhom aħna u hekk l-imqaret aħna u hekk nagħmlu kollox aħna. Ġifieri l-imqaret nagħmluhom aħna wkoll. Ngħidlek il-verità bħalissa għandna chocolate dome li vera l-qalbi, tajjeb, issa forma ta' bobil li hija magħmula mill-karawett u varjazzjoni ta' ċokkolata. Jien toġobni ħafna favorita tiegħi. Imma kif qed ngħidlek l-imqaret jibqgħu l-iżjed ħaġa popolari mal-klijenti tagħna.
Sinjuri kont ma' Lisa Gregg u Robert Kassar u tkellimna dwar the Restaurant of the Year Award. Jekk għandkom xi kummenti ibatuhom fuq in-numru li jidher fuq l-iskrin qabel ma ngħaddu għal waqfa qasira sa nerġgħu nagħtu aġġornament